Hi, this is Ajay Anand and welcome to Science Classes from excelup.com. In this lesson, you will learn about angiosperms. Angiosperms are also called flowering plants because they produce flowers. And this lesson is suitable for class 11th biology. So, apart from the fact that these plants produce flowers, another important feature of angiosperms is that seeds are enclosed in fruits. Seeds, they develop inside fruits, and fruit, what is fruit? Fruit is a mature ovary. So, ovule, it develops inside the ovary. So, neither the ovule nor the seeds, they are not exposed like gymnosperms. So, gymnosperms, they produce naked seeds. Angiosperms, they produce protected seeds, covered seeds, you can say. Flowers are specialized structures, and you can compare them to reproductive system. Flower bears pollen grains and ovules. Pollen grains are male gametes and ovules are female gametes. Angiosperms is a very large group, and angiosperms, they are found almost everywhere on the earth, in almost every nook and corner. Then angiosperms, they have great economic importance also because most of our needs, they are fulfilled by angiosperms. So, we get food grains, fruits, vegetables, timber and so many things from angiosperms. Angiosperm has been divided into two classes. One is called dicotyledons and another is monocotyledons. You can also say dicot and monocot. So, here is a comparison of some key features of dicots and monocots. As the name suggests, the seeds of dicots, they have two cotyledons. So, for example, if you will split a pea seed or a chickpea seed, you will find two clear-cut equal halves. They are cotyledons. The seeds of monocots, they have one cotyledon, like a seed of maize or a seed of wheat or rice. They have single cotyledon. The flowers of dicotyledons, they are pentamerous, which means that all the floral whorls, they have 5 or 4 parts in case of dicotyledons. So, if in case of calyx, there will be 5 or 4 sepals. In case of corolla, there will be 5 or 4 petals. Similarly, stamens will be in the 5 or 4 numbers. In case of monocot plants, the flowers are trimerous, which means the floral whorls, they have 3 parts. So, there will be 3 sepals or 3 petals or 3 stamens, like that. Leaves of dicots, they have a reticulate venation. So, the veins, they make network like structure. In case of monocots, parallel venation is seen in leaves. Dicots generally have taproot system, but monocots, they have fibrous roots. So, these are all about the key features of dicots and monocots. Now, let us try to understand about gametogenesis in angiosperms. In anther, that is, you can say male sex organ of flower, the pollen mother cell, it divides by meiosis to produce microspores, and these microspores, they develop to become pollen grains. In ovary, usually one ovary has a single megaspore mother cell, and the megaspore mother cell, it undergoes meiosis to produce 4 megaspores. Out of these 4 megaspores, 3 degenerate, and the remaining one, it undergoes mitosis to form embryo sac. Now, this is the structure of embryo sac. So, the embryo sac has 3 distinct parts. So, one part is called egg apparatus, then second part is called polar nuclei, and the last part is called antipodals. So, this the lower portion is the micropylar end, that is towards the mouth of the ovary, and this is the chalazial end, that is away from the mouth. The egg apparatus, it is composed of an egg and two cells which are called synergids. The polar nuclei, there are two nuclei, they finally fuse to form a secondary nucleus. Then there are three antipodal cells. So this is the structure of embryo sac. Now, what happens during fertilization? Once pollen grains mature and they are released from the anthers, they reach and land at the stigma of ovary. And this process is often assisted by various agents of pollination like wind or water or insects and even some animals. Okay. Now, once the pollen grains, they land on the stigma, they germinate, and one of the pollen grain, it grows a pollen tube which penetrates the ovary and finally reaches the embryo sac. Once it reaches the embryo sac, two pollen nuclei, they enter the embryo sac. Okay. Now, one of them fuses with egg cell to make the zygote, and another nucleus, it fuses with the polar nuclei which have now become secondary nucleus, and after the fusion with polar nuclei, the structure which is formed, it is called primary endosperm nucleus. So, since there are two fusions or fusions of four cells, you can say, so or two pairs of cells, so this is called double fertilization, and double fertilization is an event which is unique to angiosperms. So, after one fertilization, zygotes are formed, and from the second fertilization, primary endosperm nucleus is formed. So, this shows the phase after fertilization. This is zygote, which was formed because of fusion between egg cell and one of the polar nuclei, and this is primary endosperm nucleus or PEN. Okay. This is formed because of fusion between the secondary nucleus and one of the polar pollen nuclei. The synergids, they degenerate, and antipodal cells, they also degenerate. So, after that, seeds are formed. A seed contains the embryo and the endosperm. The endosperm, it provides food to the growing embryo. So, that is the role of this primary endosperm nucleus or endosperm. So, this is all about double fertilization. This diagram shows life cycle of angiosperm. So, you can see alternation of generation here. This is the gametophyte phase, this is the sporophyte phase. Sporophyte phase is dominant, it is independent, it is photosynthetic. So, the plant which we see is sporophyte with diploid ploidy. The plant bears flowers, and the flowers, they bear anther and ovary. Meiosis takes place inside anthers and ovary, and anthers, they produce microspores which grow into pollen grains. Ovary, it produces ovule or embryo sac, and one of the pollen grains, it enters the embryo sac through pollen tube, and that is how fertilization takes place. So, after fertilization takes place, zygote is formed, and from zygote onwards, the sporophyte phase begins. So, you can see the gametophyte phase is short living, is a single celled structure, and now a sporophyte phase, it grows into multicellular structure. So, zygote grows to become an embryo, and embryo, it develops into a full grown plant. So, that's all about this lesson. Thank you.